I would certainly endorse the remarks of my colleague, the ranking member, Mr. Garamendi. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago when we were doing Coast Guard budget hearing, I asked your predecessor, this is it? I mean, at that point, you didn't even list the icebreakers on there, and having been on the icebreaker and having known, you know, the fact that one was mothballed and the other one is, you know, basically limping along, I was surprised, and I said, I hope that next year you'll bring in a more complete list of your needs. I know there's a lot of pressure from the trolls at OMB or others in the administration, but if you don't advocate for the service, we can't advocate for the service, and at some point we've got to break this. We've got to break this logjam. You know, I don't know where. I don't think it's within the service that there's this reluctance. I don't know exactly where the problem lies. But we need the information, and as Mr. Garamendi pointed out, I mean, it's very puzzling that we finally got the polar icebreaker on the list, but that looks like maybe, as he said, perhaps one. And, you know, obviously you have many, many, many other needs that are not reflected in this one-page summary. So we really need, and later when we're in questions, I'll be asking if others don't, when we are going to get the 5-year, when we are going to get the 20-year. I also intend to follow up on the questions that I raised regarding the closure of the Potomac River. This is a fairly unique situation. We have individual dispersed recreation, some of it commercial, some of it, much of it commercial, rented, but some of it guided. You have a camp for a youth camp, right, that would be affected because they use that section of river. And this is not your normal maritime situation where people have marine radios and that. I do note in your letter that you say that individuals can apply to the captain of the port and get individual authorization. You know, that would be people in inner tubes, I guess, and I'm not sure how that would work. I guess they, you know, maybe they can call in on their cell phone or something like that. But you know, I just don't see. I know the Secret Service is always difficult to deal with. That I think you could assure security without a total, intermittent, and unpredictable closure, because you're going to strand people. I mean, if you know someone is, you know, if, as I pointed out, the president could play on his other 18-hole course where he didn't, where it wasn't next to the river, where he didn't cut down all the trees, and that could satisfy his need to play golf on his own properties to promote his own interests, as opposed to going somewhere else that's more secure. But you know, to totally close this river, you're going to have people floating along in inner tubes, drinking beer, coming up against security, and then they have to get miles down the river to their pickup point, and I guess they're going to be sitting there drinking beer while someone plays 18 holes of golf, the president or other undesignated important individuals. So this is something that's going to require some pushback, I think, with the Secret Service, where the Coast Guard says this is not practical for this sort of recreational activity. You could post a Zodiac there with a machine gun, and if you see a threatening paddleboarder, take them out. You know, that might solve the problem. So I will be asking questions about that also. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.